I was in Miami a couple of years ago for a conference, staying at a hotel. Wanted to check the day's headline I read for the TV remote. It was remarkable complex. It looked like it could launch a rocket ship actually, with an indefinite number of tiny numbers, 3 numerical pads. There were a multiple of buttons, arrows going up, 3 sets of funny looking colors, and 2 on buttons and 2 off buttons. You get the point, right? Was this an instrument of a mad scientist or daffer perhaps? For your information, I pressed the first one. The light in the room dimmed in kind of a moody, sexy way, and when I pressed the second off button, the air condition shut off. The TV, by the way, of course, that stayed on. So I was ending up climbing onto the nearby desk and with my butt in the air, pulling out the plugs from the wall socket, disconnecting the TV, the minibar, and the standing lamp. Now, this is the story, but months later, I was on a flight to the Big Apple, and by pure chance, I sat next to an engineer of the very same company who had made that remote control. I'm not kidding. He said that he'd probably never heard about the company, and I said to which I responded, "Wanna bet?" Now, I took out my laptop, I powered it up, and then I proceeded to my PowerPoint, the one I created featuring that remote control, and I asked him, what the hell went wrong with you guys? I remember he looked at me like a deer in the headline, and then he started to explain that the company had basically, unsurprisingly, internal problems with various divisions wanting to have access to various real estate on that remote control. No one could agree with the departments. Who owns what, he said. But then we fixed it. Ultimately, the TV remote was divided into zones resembling each of the internal departments in that company. One was for the TV, a second was for cable, a third one was for Netflix, a fourth one for satellite, and a fifth belonged to the folks responsible for broadcasting big band era and hip-hop 24/7 music, or for displaying a crackly ukulele lock in the winter. That engineer seemed pretty proud of what his company had done and how he's actually managed to solve the problem. There were no more internal issues, he said. Every division now have a fair representation of this remote, except for the fact, I said to him, that I have no idea about how to turn on the television. And I remember he looked at me and smiled, still not really understanding what I talked about. How does an overcomplicated remote control circle back to an absence of common sense in an organization? Very simple. As the engineer sitting next to me pointed out, the average TV remote control with its logo graphic script and arrows and key buttons and numbers and letters reflecting any number of internal miscommunication and powers struggles within that local telecom. Just as a footbridge with a small crack along the side can indicate more serious fundamental problems, an unintuitive remote control points to a few core problems within the company that issued it. With half a dozen of silos inside this cable company, all wanting to have representation, no one was looking at the remote control holistically, that is, from a consumer point of view. By the way, my new book, The Ministry of Common Sense, is out today. Let's bring back common sense. We so desperately need it right now.